This is a tutorial for the game Ticket to Ride as played on Board Game Arena. Ticket to Ride is a route building game where you are placing like types of trains represented on these colored cards to make paths along the map, getting points for the paths that you lay, and also getting points for destination tickets that you fulfill. The game is pretty straightforward. On your turn, you have three things that you can do. You can either take new train cards from the available market, which we'll see in a minute. You can create a path on the board with your trains, or you can take more destination tickets. Now at the beginning, every player is given 3 destination tickets, and you must choose 2 at least. You can keep all 3 if you'd like. You can notice that each of the destination tickets has a number of points associated with it. Obviously, the longer tickets have more points associated with them. So, and BGA also highlights for you where the destinations are. When you're taking destination tickets, it's nice to see if you can overlap, because as long as you get from one place to another, it doesn't matter what path you take. So if you have to go the long way around in order to get other cities in the way, that still works out. So I believe in this case I picked both of these two. I figure if I can get across the country all the way, then I might as well try to get to both of those spots. And it worked out fairly well for me. These points are only at the end of the game, and these cards are hidden, so no other players know what destinations you have. But if you do not make a destination by the end of the game, then those points are negative instead of positive. So you have to be careful about those destination cards that you take, that you can make sure that you can get them, because it's much better to not have a destination card than get a negative amount for a destination card. So once you take your 2, and you can see I've done these 2 again, they're close to each other. I figure if I can get all the way through, then I can connect these 2 and make one big route that connects all 4 cities and get both of these taken care of. Everybody else picks their cards, and then we have the market here of cards that you can choose from. Notice everybody has their player color. This is the number of trains that you have. The game ends when somebody runs down to 2 or less trains that they've placed on, and then everybody gets a final round, including that player, I believe. This also tells how many cards that player currently has, and the number of destination cards that they have, and how many are completed. Obviously, it only knows how many you've completed, but you can add to that, and you can see other people who have added to that as well. So again, on your turn, you can draw cards, claim a route, just putting trains on the map, or draw new destination tickets. You probably shouldn't do that until you've at least completed the ones that you have already. So at the beginning, it's going to be a lot of drawing cards and claiming routes. First, drawing cards. So this is the market. You can have 2 train cards, and you can take them either from the face-up cards that are shown, or randomly from the top of the deck. You can also see there's a little gauge here that shows how many cards are left. As that gets lower and eventually gets to the end, all the discards will be shuffled back in and restart. These are the ticket cards. You can see how many have left are those as well. You can combine getting random ones and getting ones from the market, and however you'd like. As soon as you take one from the market, it is refilled automatically. So if you're like, ooh, I'd love to have 2 reds, I'll take this red and hope that a red refills it, and if it doesn't, I'll just take a random one hoping I get another red. The one exception to the 2 train card rule are these wild train cards. These can be used for any color, and if you choose one that is face up in the market, you cannot have another card. So if I went and I chose this wild card into my hand, I would not be able to pick another card either from the market or from the deck. However, if you pick one from the deck and it happens to be a wild and you put it in your hand, nobody will know that, so you can still pick another card. So there is a way to get a wild and still get another card, but it takes some luck. You can see here, this counts each number of train cards that you have. Currently I have 2 black, 1 blue, and 1 yellow. So the second thing that you can do is lay a track. And this is what the green player did on their first turn. So how do you lay tracks? Well, you have to have similar numbers of cards, and in some cases you have to have a specific similar color of cards. So whenever you see a color on a track, you have to have that many of that color. So in this case, to make the connection from Salt Lake City to Las Vegas, I need 3 orange cards. There are gray ones, which do not have a required color, but you have to have them the same color. So here, this 2 gray one, I could go from Las Vegas to Los Angeles with these 2 black, or any other 2 of the same color, or a wild and another color. There are some pathways that have 2 options for them, either 2 gray options, which can be different colors, or 2 specified options. So from Salt Lake to San Francisco can be either 5 oranges or 5 whites. If you choose one of those, you cannot choose the other. So for instance, green player chose this Seattle one by just playing one of any color. That player cannot then fill in this next one in order to block other players. You do have to be careful. There are some really valuable connections that, while you can still get around and get to your destinations, if, for instance, somebody else had blocked this one, I obviously need to go to both Seattle and Portland, so I definitely want to keep that in there. So I'm going to put my train in there right away as my first action, so that I don't have to go all the way around some long way to get between those 2 cities. So as you can see, the blue player here took a card, it refilled, and then they took the same card and it refilled. Red player took a card. See now that they can't take this wild card because they already took one, and you can't have a card and a wild card unless you took it from the top of the deck. So it is my turn. I am going to claim this route so that I make sure that I can get between Seattle and Portland and that doesn't get cut off. Typically though, at the beginning you are trying to collect a bunch of cards so you can make some of the more important large tracks that you need to. Now when you put trains on a track, you get points for it. Not just the points from your destinations at the end, but immediate points. And that is shown by this chart right here. And if we go down here, you can see if you put 1 train down, you get 1, 2 gets 2, 3 gets 4, 4 gets 7, 5 gets 10, and 6 gets 15. So those 5 and 6 line trains are actually very valuable, almost the same value as, well, the same value as a lot of those destination cards, which are much harder to get. So, well, there aren't as many of them. Those can be very valuable if you just collect as many cards as you want. But notice there's only one that's gray. Most of those longer paths require a specific color. So the game continues on. People claiming routes, getting points for those routes. So you can see the points are automatically claimed. And as you put down your trains, they start to decrease. There's no hand limit, so you're welcome to take as many cards as you want. And that is a strategy that some people use, is just collecting a whole bunch of cards and then playing on those very large pathways, because they do get lots of points. But you always have to keep in mind your destination tickets. If there are 2 people, like in this case, or if the line is full, you cannot place on it, so nobody can claim the Seattle to Portland road. But if somebody needed to go to Seattle to Portland, they could go around in a roundabout way. Alright, I'm going to skip to later in the game so you can see what it looks like with a more full map. Okay, this is much later in the game. You can see one player only has 8 trains left, so we may be getting too close to the end of the game. You can see the board is filled out quite a bit. I have successfully made my trek all the way across to all the 4 destinations, and those 2 destination cards have been filled. You can see what that looks like in just a second. But as one of my turns, because I finished that, I decided to draw destination tickets. When you draw destination tickets, you draw 3 new destination tickets, and you only have to keep one of them, but you do have to keep at least one. I got really lucky. I drew this one here, Vancouver to Santa Fe, and I had mostly covered that already. I just needed to make sure I got up to Vancouver and down to Santa Fe. And fortunately, it was very easy to quickly fill those in. So now I can place that last one, and boom, I have all 3 of these tickets, these destination tickets completed. And so in my next turn, I think, well, this is getting really close to the end of the game. Maybe I should simply wait and not try and get a destination card that I might not be able to fill, so that I could, so I don't get those negative points. And so it continues until the end of the game, until somebody gets down to 2 or less remaining train cars, and then there's a final turn. Couple things at the end of the game. Everybody will score their destination tickets, positive points if they get it, negative points if they don't. And then there is a longest train award of 10 points, and that is your longest contiguous train. So I would count from either Vancouver or Portland and all the way through here. I wouldn't count this because that's not part of this longest continuous train. Whoever's the longest one wins. And that's the game. Once everybody's counted up their points, given the bonuses, then the game ends, and whoever has the most points wins the game. There is a 1910 expansion that adds just a couple of extra little things. First, it gives you different, most would say more balanced cards to make sure that there are certain cities that are just not so reliant that you can easily cut off and hurt somebody. So the destination tickets are a bit more balanced. And second, there is a Globetrotter bonus of 15 points, and that is for the person who fulfills the most destination tickets by the end of the game. Ties are friendly, so if multiple people get the same amount of tickets completed, they both get those 15-point bonuses. This is to encourage people to actually work towards those destination tickets and not just try to get all of the longest trains they possibly can, which is was a reasonable strategy in the base game, but that extra 15 points makes a big difference. That is Ticket to Ride on Board Game Arena. Hope this was helpful.